here's another reason that we need to wrestle with, acknowledge, and work with the way shame is part of our racial experience. And people of color, communities of color have made very clear that part of our work as white folks in the multiracial work of justice making is to engage and work with other white folks. That becomes very difficult to do if shame is having its way with us, because when another person who is white says or does something racially problematic or engages in a racist behavior, our unmetabolized shame gets kicked up when we see their behavior, and we become incentivized to distance ourselves from them, shame them, because part of our consciousness is worried that our innate unworthiness is going to get exposed if we get too close to them. Does that make sense? It's a shame response. When shame is having its way with us, we are incentivized to distance ourselves from other white folks rather than leaning in and working with them, companioning them, engaging them to grow their anti-racism in accountable ways, because our own fear that our innate unworthiness is going to be exposed to daylight for others to see gets triggered by other white folks. So we can't do our part if we aren't in some way, shape, or form engaging shame. Now, shame also then, we get incentivized to sometimes weaponize shame against other white folks in that equation. In fact, weaponizing shame in social justice movements more broadly, not just in white anti-racism, is actually an ongoing challenge and reality and problem right now. And lots of amazing activists and thinkers and writers, including many leaders of color, are talking about that. Some of those folks are named in my email today. So this is a broader issue in social justice movements right now. But in thinking about the white part of anti-racism and racial justice, there's a particular kind of responsibility those of us who are white have to figure out how we wrestle with our own experiences of shame so that we find ways to become less likely to weaponize shame against other white folks. Now, that's not me saying there isn't a time and a place for strategic public shaming of truly egregious behavior, especially by the powerful. And it's not me saying, of course, that we aren't to engage in ways that hold others and ourselves accountable racist behavior and racial harm. But accountability for racial harm is not the same thing as weaponizing shame. So the email today points you to a number of resources to help us together in this work do this deeper, longer, harder thing of trying to get shame on the table and become more discerning and wise and able to reflect on its power in our social justice work and our own experience of our racialization, so that we can disempower shame and empower ourselves and one another into truly transformative, accountable, flourishing ways of being with one another in the work of racial justice. Thanks, friends.